Never happened before. Hi, I'm Rob, Amanda. We do Waxplay. Most probably already been talked to by me. Some of you will have seen the spanking demo we did or in there. Fantastic. I don't have quite so many bad jokes. I lied. I've always got bad jokes. So we'll talk about Waxplay and candles. So we'll do kind of two parts really. One will be the technical science side of it and practical side of it, and then one will be a more experiential, because wax and wax play is about sensation. It's very hard for me to describe a sensation, because what I might describe as warm, glowing, flowing feelings of love, you might be able to going, oh my god, it's called me burning lava and I'm going to die. So it's an experiential one. Hopefully not warm, hot, flowing lava and you're going to die. We'll get on to why and why that's important in a bit. So, wax play, wax, it's about wax. Who has tried using a tea light or playing with the wax from the pillar candles on the table? It's hot, isn't it? Yeah, it's very hot, it will burn. And it's a key point, wax can burn. It's down to mixes and blends and which size the key point can burn. So the first part for any wax play is safety. Know what to do if it does burn. Yeah, you get burned, what you do? Run it under cold water. When it feels like the cold is so cold it's burning, it's now starting to do effect. Don't take your arm out, leave it there, or whatever's burnt, and let it run. You will not get burnt like that with our wax play. It does not get that hot. That's just burns in general. So for wax play, have a cold sponge. If you've not done it before, if you've not used it, have a cold wet sponge so that if it goes, oh no, that's too hot for me, it's outside my comfort. You can put it on, you can squeeze it, you can cool the area down. And that's all it will need, is a cold sponge. Just cool the area down, it's fine. Yeah, cool. Don't put things like butter on it and cream. That traps the heat, makes it worse and damages the skin. And then you have to go and have it looked at like that, yeah, because you couldn't go away, it's already washing. One, didn't use my candles, and two, I told you not to bloody put anything on it with cold water. To keep what helps out is that safety part of it. The other one is allergies. So most of my candles myself are scented. We use essential oils for the hypoallergenic. We have one that's lemon, has lemon in it. I actually do know somebody that's allergic to lemon and will react to that candle. So that's all as are vegan friendly, they're all made from parts that come from different organisations that are what be. So I can trace it back, I know exactly what's in each one. So if you can go, I've got an allergy to, we go, oh, here's the data sheet, we'll have a look at it. Anybody selling wax candle supply should be able to tell you the source, where it's come from, how it's produced. How it's produced is really important around temperature. So to move on, the important parts of the candle, really, the wax, there's three parts to it, surprisingly. There's the wax candle itself, there's the wick, and there's the flame. So we'll start at the top and work down. The very tip of the flame is at about 200 to 300 degrees Celsius, quite hot. You go down to the wick, there's a little blue dot just above the wick, that's at about 1,200 degrees Celsius. Yeah, it's hot. You then have the wax, and the wax will melt according to how it's mixed. So, getting burnt with candles, you'll either use beeswax, which is really high melt point. In your house, the light is fantastic because it melts so high. Beautiful, clear light, really throws the light out there. The wax, hot as yeah. Paraffin wax, hot, not as hot as beeswax, can still leave burns, can still leave blistering. Soy, the coolest end of it, and then it's a blend. So, ask what melt temperatures candles melt at. Beeswax ones, right up in the top, they're going to burn your skin. Down to our mix, it melts at 34 degrees. Most average wax play candles melt at 55. Reason we do 34, somebody's heat sensitive, 55 degrees burns, cause blistering. 34 doesn't. So it's how you then achieve it. Everything you add to a candle changes that melt point. So we'll start with the wax mix, and you put your wick in. The difference between in wicks, every 0.1 of a mil changes the temperature it melts at. So you'll start with 2 mil wick, you put 2.5 mil wick in, half a mil, it's like that much, it's tiny difference. That 15 to 20 degree difference in what the candle's going to melt at, if not more. So some goes to the mix will need a slightly bigger wicks to melt the wax. Doesn't necessarily mean the wax is not possible. The wick is going to be burning higher, so it's got potential to extend what your mix you've used to match the wick size. So you have to balance the two out. If you've got thinner wicks, use a slightly different mix to get the same consistent temperature. You then add, so we add colour, and everybody wants some kind of colour in there. White's great. We want a bit of a mix, we want to be able to do pretty patterns, we want to do different designs, you want to do seasonal things. So come Halloween, you want to do pumpkin, you want to turn your pot into a pumpkin, so you eat lots of oranges and blacks and colour. The colours change the temperature, so you'll add the colour, remelt them, remeasure the temperature, you'll then go for a slightly smaller wick, retrim it, it's not quite right, I'll go for a slightly bigger wick, but I will change the mixture of the wax. Right, I've got it on target at 35 degrees melt, fantastic. So I've had it around for a couple of hours, a couple of £1,000. Research is expensive, so once I spent a couple of £1,000, I'm going, yeah, I've got the colour matched to that that candle mix, match that size. But I want to add a scent, I want it to smell nice. So the big one, we get told you can't do Waxplay scented candles, it's too difficult. You can, it's just a few £1,000 of research. The difference is how we extract the essential oils that are used. So when you go and buy your essential oils, they'll be extracted in one of several ways. One of the most common is cold press, and it's exactly how we make wine out of grapes. You get your big pile of flowers, you're going to do rose, you get all your rose petals, you get 2 great big weights, you crush them, and you squeeze out the juice, and that juice is the essential oil. That's one extraction. You can distill it, then put it all in water, put that heat it up, take the steam off, and distill, cools it down, and you get it that way. You can extract chemically, and you get the essential oil out that way. All the techniques produce the same essential oil. It's from that plant, but it's slightly different because of the extraction method. Which means when you add it to wax, it changes the melt point differently. So I've extracted one chemically, and I've extracted one cold press. It's the same, it smells the same, it looks the same. If I can test it, it's the same. Actually mixing wax, it will melt differently. So then, some I want cold press, because that's the coolest variant of that essential oil. Some I want distilled, because that's the coolest variant of that. And it's an experiment, and you'll balance that with the colour, with the wick size and the mix, to then work it down to where you want it to be. And you've got that blend, the colour, the scent, the wick size, and you're sorted. Same as the size of the candle makes a difference. We can do a church candle that's that thick, and they are fantastic. And they will burn for something like 300 hours, which you'd think would be fantastic for Waxplay. Beautiful big church candle. After a while, you've poured, the flame is now going up, it extinguishes itself because there's no oxygen getting to it. So you then have to cut all the wax off and down on base loads. Which is why small thin candles are actually far better. You'll get right down to the end because it won't self-extinguish. The flame doesn't disappear inside. If you find a second light, if you want your room to smell nice, get a church candle because they'll stick up right and it goes. And if the wax dribbles down, it doesn't matter. It's quite cool. Or you can play with it and stand and use it as a scented group. One, so it's that flexibility. But you have to look at it. So I want a bigger, thicker candle. I need to thicker wax. Thicker wicks need to melt slightly higher. So I want it to melt all the way across, and not just drown and self-extinguish. That is the really technical aspect of candles. It's that simple. It's the blend that you use of waxes to go into the candle, control the temperature. The wick size controls how fast it burns or how fast it all melts and adds to the temperature. If not really, really fast, you can go to be really, really hot. it's really, really slow. It's cooler. It's taking longer to get the temperature to drop it. If I add colour, I know it's going to rise temperature, so I have to change the mix and change the size of the wick. And scent. How's it been extracted? Where's it come from? How's it been extracted? The extraction method for different oils will change the melt points. That's the level. The next part is really, can we get the wax off? So I've said, as melted at 34 degrees. There might be slight variations. Some might melt at 34.2 degrees. Please don't shoot me at 0.2 degree. Yeah. What's your body temperature? Yeah. I came around to the monitor, most of us are going to be somewhere between 36 and 37.4. Yeah. We're warm-blooded. That's what the candle is. So actually, when you use a 34 degree melt, it takes a little bit of time to set. Because your body needs to keep your liquids, it will run a little bit more, it stays mouldy, it stays soft before it gets hard. The joy is removing it is as much fun as putting wax on. It's actually slightly more fun. You get the right pointy tools and scrapers and pick it up and play. But equally, if you don't, you just want to get off the water, go and have a hot shower. Your shower's more than 34 degrees, candle's going to melt, the wax on is going to melt and just come off. That's the other part that's what's not health and safety is good housekeeping. I'm sat on a drop pot, I'll spread it out a bit to catch the wax. Little candle, little tiny candle, weighs 200 grams, produces about 5,000 tons of wax residue. It gets everywhere. You start saying, it leaves trails, it's like shedding, it grows, it gets everywhere. Use a drop cloth. If you've got hard floors at home, because what happens is, it doesn't floor, you sweep it all up, except for 2 or 3 kilos of that 200 gram candle that's left pressed onto your beautiful ceramic flooring. You have to sit there with a wooden scraper scraping it off. It's really boring. Taking wax off a person, lots of wood. Taking off the floor is really boring. Use drop cloths. The really tip really is it saves so much. I think that's why you shake it. You bang it in the washing machine on a 40 degree wash, melts the wax, takes it away, it's fine. Slight environmental issue that maybe it's silly for you. Ask nobody I know that does scrap candles minds who can go, could you do me a dragon? And I want it to start melting from the mouth as it melts down, and I want it in pink and green, and I want it to smell like, I don't know.
Where are you going to get that mould from? Where are you going to get that mould from?
I know somebody that will make the mould for me.
That's alright.
So if I do special effects, I can do something moulding.
That's
There
even
you go.
better.
Basically, I go to Pinewood Studios and speak to one of the mold makers. It's like, I'm Pinewood Studios, and I go, could you do this for me? And they're like, yeah, what's it going to cost me? Can I have a few for that? Yeah, all right. There's always a deal to
You
be
might
made.
just give me their contact details so I can
Yep. Generally employ anybody with a PhD or Masters in Engineering, structural, as well as space. That's what they're looking for at the end of it. Cool. Anything else about Waxplay candles before I recruit for Pinewood Studios?
I have a question. So when I come to prepare myself, I'm not doing my thing with doing cookies. I use after sun on it sometimes. Does that help me when you fix stuff in wax pan?
After sun, fantastic for burns. About half an hour to an hour after you've done the burn, when you've run all the cold water on it.
Yeah.
So get it cold, you burn, get it cold, get really cold water on it. Don't put ice on it thinking that's really cold, I'm going to do it. Because the ice is going to burn and make it worse. And then you'll come to me and go, and I will laugh because I've told you, do not put ice on to drop it. Running cold water takes the heat away, get it cold. Once it's cool, and I mean, you touch it and it's cold to touch. And it's been there at least 1/4 hour, which is a bloody long boiling time to wait. After sun, things like that, to moisturiser, it just helps reduce the damage to the skin, same as with sunburn. Hopefully, if you select the right candles, the right mix for you, from the Waxplay perspective, it won't be an issue. There are very, very few people that can't do Waxplay who are just too heat sensitive. There are 1 or 2 around, I've met 1 or 2 that can't do it, but even on the back of their hands with a really low one go, that's too hot. They're very rare. But people do. So experiment. Try it on your hand first, a little spot and go, yeah, that feels warm, that's okay.
I got told one more day if we move the candle higher up.
No.
Is that correct?
No,
That's
Myth.
it.
yeah,
I disagree.
there's no,
No,
the
I
height
say,
of drop.
I say that's me.
So,
I disagree because then it drops, so there's a long point before it hits.
okay. How fast does it drop?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know the logistics
it
of
drops
that.
up, it drops up right gravity, so 10 meters per second. So it drops. The time it drops, yeah, or heat loss, it might lose half a degree, might,
But that
probably
still makes a
doesn't
difference.
because of the way it holds the heat in the wax. There's not enough time to make a practical difference to you. There's a psychological difference that if you see it dropped and you know it's being dropped, there's a psychological difference. So you're expecting it to be cooler. Because you're expecting it to be cooler, it feels it. The way to do it is get a really good, sensitive digital thermometer scale and drop wax on it. So from the research we've paid for, the dropping it, $6 foot, and I'm doing that, and I'm at 8 foot, and that with a normal wax play still leave left burns.
Yeah.
Whereas,
It's that I've played with people that I haven't told how far away I am. They said it's too hot. Moved it further up and they're like, that's better. So that's an observation from people who I've played with.
yeah, I can't dispute it, observation one, but I can say, in a lab, being tested by people who do for me, their comeback was, when we asked about it, that if you're going for scaffold tower, fantastic, if you're doing that and dropping it from a height, unless you're stood up and I'm doing it at 8 foot, and we've not noticed a difference in storytelling, no difference in it, and it still left a burn, me dropping from 8 foot up, I have to go with the realistically on a day-to-day basis, I want to change the wax mix. It's easier. It's way easier, and it saves me doing that because it's really hard to stand there like that holding something to drip it. It's like, well, I'm getting tired. I'm not sitting here, it's not being fun. Second, I've gone more than about an inch off and no longer drawing, ceased to be fun. Cool. Any other technical questions about the wax play? Anyone? I've heard that, or I've not tried it, or I think that it might be like this. Or you couldn't possibly use it on that body part. That you can't possibly use it on that body part.
I think the only place is not the eyes and pretty
Yeah.
much
Basically,
anywhere else.
don't drop it on somebody's naked neck, bare eyeball.
Yeah.
Beyond that, any other body part is fair game. It really is. If you can tolerate on your palm and wrist there, it's really, really sensitive because we touch everything and feel, so they have to be really sensitive. Massive, massive nerve ends there. The only bit that's more sensitive is downtown fun time with the ladies. And you can drop wax straight on the clitoris.
And your tongue as well.
And your tongue.
That's a muscle.
I'm not trying it on my tongue.
Someone asked recently, and I was like, not unless you've got really low burn ones, because it's also a choking hazard as well. If they pull the tongue
Yeah.
out.
Goes to a really good point. So we talked about safety and the burn point. We're talking about the wax dropping. But if you're sat here and I'm decorating your decolletage, I'm making you a beautiful necklace. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll use white to do lace, and I'll use colour in fillet, so it looks really pretty. I'm putting the wax here, that's fine. The flames here, my chin's here. What I'm doing is burning my chin. So if you do anything, look at where the rest of their body is. So I'm doing the crosshair they're sat up. Each going to be here. I want to move quite quick. So I hold it still to do a little delicate bit. I'm just going to burn the chin. So I'll just get them to lie back. So that bit now is the top. All the heat's going to rise. So always think where the heat's going. Yeah, same as we're doing on the inside of the thighs. And that, think about where the heat's going to rise to. Where's it going to go? Think about where if you candle at the thigh, where's the flame going? It's the flame that will do the burn. You have to think it through, be a little bit aware. You're doing gentle air, you come from the top down, just try and work at the bottom and bring it up. Actually, you're going to start catching stuff with the flame, whereas you bring it down, the flame's always above where you're working. So you're working below the flame, not into it. So it reduces that risk of getting a flame burn. Which, I have to say, doesn't matter what wax you use, the flame, that blue bit is at 1,200 degrees. It bloody hurts. Because when you're talking, you're doing it, you're explaining to somebody, you're not paying attention to the candle you're holding, and you run it across the palm with the flame. Yeah. There are bad words used, like snuffle and oh darn it. Yeah, and others. Cool. Any other questions or observations? Yep.
The flash of the candle, once it hits, is that dependent on the blend?
Yep, so the splash is how liquid it is to do with viscosity. So it's to do with the blend, to how well it bonds, how strong those bonds are formed. Ooh, I almost started talking benzene and covalent bonding and really chemical stuff like that excited. We actually hate bonds. So some will be thicker, it will stick together and you won't splash as much. Some is runnier, so it will splash further. And that's where height can come into it. I'm dropping from the height, a lot more energy it hits, it will burst further. So it depends, do I want to do a big splatter pattern, or actually do I want to do delicate drawing? I want to do delicate drawing and put the candle on you, and then melt the wax straight onto you, and I'm going to draw lines on you, to actually stroke with the candle. Being conscious of the flame. I've got the candle on like that, the flame's coming up there, it's nowhere near you, it's fine. Unless I go across there and then I've got to watch where your neck is, or your chin, or your second chin, or your third chin, or your fourth. Fifth chin, which is when you have first breakfast only or second and third breakfast. Yeah, your number of chins plays a part, and whether you've got a beard or not plays a part. So I come across then you've got a beard, I'm going to be singeing the beard. Same as I'm doing inside the thighs. If you haven't trimmed downtown fun time, the candle's going to singe your fur. But you have to think about it because it smells horrible. You stay away.
That's why they sent it. That's why they sent it.
Yeah.
I don't think that
I think it requires experimentation.
You can't do it, sorry.
I don't want some hair.
Yeah, you're not doing my hair on my head.
That's all you.
Didn't say I couldn't do it anywhere else, so we go.
No.
I mean, it's such a punching bag. So, yeah, so you can just obviously be aware of where the flame goes. The flame's really hot part. The wax we know, it's either our end, the bottom end is 34 degrees. You can go cooler than that, but actually it becomes pretty much unworkable to wax flame on, and it's never set. It's about as cool as you want to go. Standard is around 54 degrees, and you can get upwards if you ask. The other part to it is cooling. So if I light a candle and I pour it straight out, it's melted at 34 degrees, it's coming off at 34 degrees. If I hold it like that and I talk to you, I'm building up a little puddle of wax. That little puddle of wax is next to a flame between 1,200 and 200 degrees. It's going to get hotter. It gets like a second point. It's usually around 20 degrees higher than the initial melt point. So if my candle that I'm using is melting at 34 degrees, I can probably get it up to 55 degrees. If I bought a standard Waxplay candle that melts at 54, 55 degrees, I'll get it to 75 degrees. And it's that cooling that usually results in the really nasty burns can do, rather than straight on. For me, 55 is bloody hot and I don't like it. It's like, yeah, it's just too much. For other people, they want that sting. I don't like sting. I don't do receiving pain. It's not a thing. So I go cooler.
How would you recommend dealing with a burn once you've done the cooling?
If you burnt them,
Yeah, if you burnt them while cooling, what would you do?
my big cold wet cloth that's there, and I slap it straight on and I get the wax off as quickly as I can. So I'll be running the water on while scraping the wax off, because the wax has got heat in it. So I want to get the source of the heat away and cool it down. So I literally will be squeezing wax off as fast as possible, squeezing
So
that.
you should always have something cold or wet.
Yeah, keep a wet sponge there. If you're new and you're not confident, and you don't know your tolerance, and often if you don't know what temperature the candle melts at. So a lot of people don't. They're, oh, that's what I said, I'll use it. Yeah, but all wax is safe to play with on one level. It's just one's going to be, oh my god, it's molten lava, and I appear to be able to have a hole in my arm down to the bone, and the rest is like, oh, that's warm and pleasant. Always ask what temperature does your candle melt at? What's it made from? Or what's in it? Is it coloured? Is it scented? How does the colour come from? Where's it come from? Where's the scent come from? Everybody should be able to track it back and go, yeah, my wiki is good from there. It's a wax blend that's predominantly soy, it will melt at this temperature. It's essential oils that are approved. They come from a variety of different resources or different methods to extract it. The one selected is the one that gives the coolest smell. So we said there's 5 different ways of extracting an essential oil. There's more, there's less comes oil. Each one will affect it differently. So to know what they are, we extract all 5 using different methods, do everything else the same wax mix, the same wick, all we've changed is the essential oil, and then measure the temperature, you know exactly what each one's at. So just ask. It's like anything that's bought here, ask any of the traders, they will bore you for hours about how it's made, where it's come from, because everybody's passionate and excited about it. Everybody wants to share that knowledge, everybody wants you to enjoy it. And the way you're going to enjoy it is by using the stuff safely. And if you've never tried Waxplay, Waxplay is fantastic. You do it safely. If you have one experience with the beeswax with your candle and you've got burns, you're probably going to be going, oh, I'm going to do that Waxplay stuff. No, ask the questions, learn to do it safely, then enjoy it. But ask the questions, ask the people on it. They will tell you all about it. Everybody that sells it, everybody that trades it is passionate about what they sell, where it comes from, how it's made, and they're as passionate about you being passionate with our toys and with our things. We want you to go away happy. We want you to go away with new stuff, having new experiences, going, wow, it's bloody brilliant, I've got this, I've never tried it before, it's fantastic. They spent half an hour telling me how it's made, how to use it, it's awesome. Because that's what happens is you come back because you're really happy and you buy more. And then I buy my yacht in the south of France. Damn, that's meant to be on silent, not broadcast. So next was just basically show you and do that actual demonstration of this is what it looks like and what you can do with them. The glamorous assistants who will come and expose flesh. I said like a hungry vampire there. Snack time. So obviously, during the demonstration, we have to remember the rules of the licensing. So I've said you can use it on intimate areas. You can, not here, because that's outside the licensing. It goes. Yeah. If you're going to do chest, make sure nipples are covered. If you're going to do legs, thighs, back, if you're wearing underwear, there's adequately covers. Downtown fun sign. Yep. Awesome. Everybody understands that rule. Excellent. Nobody's going to get carried away later. Fantastic. This is where being a man does fail. Smells nice. What is it? Snow angel. There you go. I'm a man that smells nice. That's as complex as my scent kind of goes. It's like colours. There are only about 5 colours in the world. Yeah. The rest are just a shade of the other colour. unless it's mango, and mango's a fruit, not a colour. Same as peach.
Orange.
Or lemon.
Okay. So, stick it on that, I'll stop me on. As I said, you can drop from really low. So we talked about splashing. If I did this from high up, what it relies on is me having just steady hands. And I don't, so really good eyesight, and I don't. That's better, it's not. So I like playing there. Temperature wise, there's no real difference to it. The joy, because it's low melt, we'll put it on the skin, and you should see I'm drawing a nice straight line. You'll see I'm drawing lines. I would say straight, they're not. I was the first person that issued my stalk who banned from art for having 0 tolerance. So drops, straight lines where the candle's actually been on, and I've dragged it over the skin. Because all I'm doing is the wax isn't doing any chance of cooling, no matter what, just running straight off and on. No, it's what's coloured.
And surely it feels a little bit hot because the candle's like right there.
No, you try it later.
The advantage on that one, heat rises.
Yeah.
So for the most part, the hottest element is going away. You will get some close, but actually literally 98% of it is going up.
I'm doing that, as we spoke about that. If I put my hand over there and pretending that's a chin, that's starting to get a little bit too warm for me, and I don't like it. If you ever want to know any secrets from me, just put something hot like that on my arm, just in the grass. I'm rubbish.
No.
But I'm going to come under the chin, so lifting the head out of the way, so the heat from that isn't rising. I'm keeping it moved, so I'm going right underneath. If I want to, I can put my hand there and shield. So if my palm's getting hot, then I know I need to take it away. I need to do something else, and then I'm going back to it. If I let it pull just a little bit again, which thicker line, or if I pour it slower, I get a thicker line. Is that too hot? Really?
You know, oh, yes.
And that's that's literally the difference in cooling. That's at 20-degree rise. So I drew straight lines, it was fine. I want to do big flippers, I let it cool and go, which takes it up to about 50 or 55 degrees. Which I know is the temperature limit. So if you blew it out, it's gone all over my hand from the cooling. But there, that's fine, that's within my comfort zone. But that's because I've handled lots of big, heavy, hot things and done things, and my nerves are a bit more damaged in my hand. I don't feel it as much. I do it on my forearms here. I really feel it. That's really sensitive. Really, really sensitive. Anywhere else, I've had so much sunburn and so much sun that all this just, it's hot hands. So, straight lines, curved lines, tricky patterns. Taking it off. You can just put it on and scrape off, but it's really messy, it springs everywhere. It's really boring and it spreads a bit like butter. Because the body is still keeping it warm, so it's smearing. Little pointy job, you get the point underneath, and actually lifts off. Yeah, pointy job. And lift it off, it comes off much easier. And I have to say, it's the person taking it off, taking your time doing it like that, it's way more fun. But if you think that was like a couple of seconds of pour, yeah, so I've used any wax, that's how much it produces. There's like wax everywhere already. That little bit's already produced about 2 kilos of waste wax.
What did you call the sheet underneath the drop
cloth?
And is that just anything?
Yeah.
Or is
So
that
that
a
is
specific material?
no, that is
So this is a normal cloth, but you can actually get fluid-proof sheets.
Yeah.
Sheets from San Francisco are expensive, but you can use any fluid on it. I use one for Waxplay as well. You can drip wax on it, throw in the washing machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you can buy fluid wax-proof sheets already.
Yeah, I've not had a problem using these.
Yeah.
I'm not generally dropping wax straight on there. If I did, so what? It comes off at 30, 40, it melts at 34 degrees. It goes on at 40 degree. People who want it just a lot and it's fine. If you have a little bit of wax on my cloth, I'm not going to be too upset about it.
I've also found that with the cabins after the use for old shower curtains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good one.
Shower curtains and painters' drop cloths. because actually, if you've got your kit bag and you buy those items brand new, they're packed very small. So you drop it in the bottom of your kit bag, your candles and other stuff go on top, and that way you don't have to necessarily have a huge big tarp with you, because you're not necessarily going to do wax every time. Yes, if you know that you're going to go out and do it, then bring your best appropriate sheet, but try and always keep one in reserve, because you might have a random, ooh, can we do some wax moment?
And if you're here, there's always sorts it all out, and there's always a safe cloth there. You can go
Just
on.
want to say I've not brought my wax this time.
I have, so there'll still be wax there to get to the
I bought
later.
some, but I've not got my sheet today.
I will donate the wax. I can't leave my sheet, I need it. It's my play sheet. But yeah, I literally went to the market and went, that's really pretty material. I want it whack big. So they sold me several 3-meter lengths. I took it to a really nice guy that does sewing. He ran through a sewing machine, and I've now got some like 4 meters square. It's huge. You can just kind of come all the way over here. It's fine. Cool. So I'll let man take their own wax off in a minute. Does anybody want to try it while the camera's running? Or do you want to go, no, turn it off and we'll go and just come and have a quick try? Cool. You want to do the camera on? You can put the camera on? So it does help, because everybody else will see here and see somebody else's reaction to it. It's very easy to say, no, it doesn't work unless you do this and that. And it's a trained response of, oh well, it's just because it's that person. It's not, it genuinely is how it is. Anything in particular to? Excellent. I always ask just in case. I'm going to go with pretty colours because basically it makes it. There we go. In its own time, it will start. There we go. So, how hot does that feel? So, the flinching is because you see the flame coming towards you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's your head going, what's the flame? It's not.
Yeah.
If I'm playing, and a lot of what we do is around the psychology of it. I'm setting up an image, I'm setting up a thought. So the thought's now, I'm going to learn that, and I'm going to go, yes, it is, you deserve it. And others are like, oh, actually, no, it's not, which are the first and the second. I think somebody's getting a little bit tickled by it as well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can hear the giggling start. So that is kind of the most sensitive area. I've dribbled it, and then it moved a little bit. I put the candle on and drawn straight lines. And I'm like, oh, we're not in Bristol, are we?
No.
It's a knife. You're not allowed to call it a knife in Bristol. You can still use it, can't call it a knife, it's straight back. They've got some really weird rules.
Go.
No.
No.
Yeah. There are no markets to sell knives in central Bristol.
Yeah.
It's the best we possession one.
Kitchen knives, you have to just water it and then soften it. It has to be overseas.
Yeah.
Mm.
What happens with chefs with their knife rolls going to work?
It just kind of think what happened in Bristol.
Not
Mm.
worse than London. Worse than Manchester.
Take a scraper.
It's the same place, scraper. But if you saw how little effectively was on her arm,
It's
That's a
everywhere.
lot. It's everywhere.
yeah, like I said, small 200 gram candle produces about 20 kilos of waste wax. Weird. Cool. Anybody else? Excellent.
I'll shut the stream down at this stage. So let me just